Hey babe, I'm Brooke Jean, licensed therapist, coach, mama, and your straight talking guide to ditching the pressure and living a life unperfected. I've coached some of the top C-suite women in America, women leading $1 million companies while secretly falling apart. I've been her. I blend psychology, neuroscience, and energetics with lived experience to help high-achieving women actually heal so that they can access their limitless energy, creativity, and vitality. So if you're a perfection-obsessed woman who's checked every damn box, career, family, house, 401k, but still feels low-key dead inside, you're in the right place. Here, we rip off the good girl mask, call out the BS, and build a life that actually feels like yours. We're talking healing, we talk revealing, we talk rising, and we do it raw, real, and unfiltered. Hello, beautiful mama. Welcome back to the Unperfected Pod. I'm Brooke Jean, your host, and I'm so happy and grateful you are here. Before we get into today's discussion, and it's a juicy one, hint, sacred rage, I want to give you a little life update. So we are in the thrusts of December. Okay, first of all, where are my mamas at that are like over the holiday season? Like, I feel like, and of course, I couldn't say this to my children because I have an 8-year-old who is just more excited than ever about Christmas. But I feel like I've been over Christmas since Halloween, bro. It is one back to back Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas. And y'all, I am tired and I have my boundaries and I'm still tired. And oh my gosh, just the parties and the events and the expenditures and the over drinking and the overeating. Dry January cannot come fast enough. I'm already ready to clean up all the clutter that is the decorations that we've literally, because we've been swapping them out, had since end of September. I feel like we need to spread out these holidays, like we can't just have a cluster of holiday decorations for Halloween, then fall slash Thanksgiving, then Christmas or Hanukkah. It's too much. And I don't want to be a Scrooge, but damn, even with my boundaries, I'm like, this is a lot. But this last weekend, we did have a lot, but it was all super fun. So on Saturday, the neighborhood that I live in, it's a circle of houses around a park. We have the coolest experiences, events, parties for families. And we always have a Christmas celebration, and Santa comes and they take pictures and give them to us for free. And literally the photographer is amazing. This is some of the best family photography we get in the year. And we have like a horse and carriage that takes us and the neighbors on trips around the circle right in front of my house. And it's just so fun. So we invited my daughter's bestie, we call her friend, and her family over. And I had food and we hung out and then we did the thing and then we hung out after and it was amazing. And then Sunday, it's Tony's best friend. Shout out to Uncle Scotty. He turned 50. And this is one of, like, my husband has literally 4 or 5 friends. He's not interested in making any more. These are his homeboys from Wisconsin, where he's from, that he has like known since he was little. And these boys get together. They have like an annual, sometimes they have 2 trips to a lake in Wisconsin. They are just still ride or die, but because they're from Wisconsin, they are diehard Packer fans. Now, has your girl become a Packer fan since I've been with my husband for 21 years? No. Is your girl a diehard Broncos fan? Honestly, no. But we took Me and my husband, Scotty, and his partner, Mary, we took them to the Bronco Packers game yesterday, and it literally was the perfect day for football. It was like 58 degrees, warm, sunny. We got to go to their house and walk down. Our seats were the bomb. Like, there's going to a football game and sitting in the nosebleeds, which no problem. That's still cooler than not going. But then there's going to a game and being down close and really getting to watch the nuances of just the team and the game and the dynamics and the relationships and all the action and all the games and clips and shit in between. It's so much fun. So we did that yesterday. I was so tired Sunday morning. I was like, how am I going to muster up the energia for a NFL game? But we did, and it was actually so much fun. So much fun. So I am like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And we're starting a new week. So I'm going to shake off that story that I'm so tired. I'm going to stop telling myself that. But if you're a mom and it's December and you're feeling a little tired, we can also just normalize that. Okay. We're in the home stretch. Hanukkah is already here. Christmas is almost here. I give you full permission December 26th to take every single holiday decoration down. I know I will. And then before you know it, it's going to be January 1, and we are going to get our poop in a group. And we are going to stop spending money. We are going to stop drinking, and we are going to stop eating gobs and gobs of cheese. And we're going to just get back into our intention of making these healthy choices that help our brain and body feel good. But it's kind of like hang on for the ride until we get there, right? So, yes, lots of fun things going on. Oh, and Cam was my oldest. Cam was actually in Seattle visiting with his sister, his other sister, Ella, visiting his cousins on his dad's side. And they're all four adults now. And my heart was just so full knowing that those four were together and just that my son and his sister, Ella, are so close. We had a very full and loving and juicy weekend over here at the Werner Jean Johnson household. But your girl is feeling it. She's not a fresh turkey anymore. We can't just go out and do things all the time. We need our 8 hours of sleep. We need our sobriety and budgets. We need these things, okay? And sometimes we have to just go all out so we can remember how good it feels to be on some sort of regimen where you take care of yourself. So I cannot wait for that. I will for sure be doing dry January. If anybody wants to join me, you can follow along on Instagram at BrookeJean Unperfected. So let's get into this conversation that I've been sitting with for a long time, but in the last few weeks, it is coming in so hot, so powerfully that I want to share it with you. And it's around a woman's rage. Dun, dun, dun. A woman's anger. So here's the question I want to start with. What is more powerful than a woman's rage? I want you to think about, your birthing story. And if you had, a birthing experience like me where you're induced, but the baby doesn't come for 3 days, and you're living off ice chips and you can't even walk around because you're hooked up to machines, and you're find out later that your epidural isn't even working. And, in the third day, your OB says the baby isn't even in the perfect pushing position, but you need to push this baby out. And whatever force we tap into to get that job done, that's the force I'm talking about. The anger that has come up about the injustices in the world, the anger that you feel when you feel that someone has wronged your children or your family, the protective mode that you go into to protect your loved ones, just a straight up anger trigger for whatever reason, your response to some of the traumas that you've endured, or when you grow up and you realize how traumatizing those things were and how you didn't like, I don't know, like you put yourself in positions that were unsafe and then you weren't protected. Listen, obviously, your girl has a list a mile long of the things that make me feel angry, but that's not what this particular show is about. This particular show is where I am realizing that if we are going to do anything to change the world, to make it better for our children, our grandchildren, and beyond, there is a massive force that is being underutilized, which is a woman and definitely a mother's sacred rage. So, in my lived experience, there really isn't much more that's more powerful than a woman's anger. Like, you should fear my rage, okay? You absolutely should, because it is a force to be reckoned with. But what are our misconceptions around anger and rage, right? Most of us growing up, when we had anger or rage, we got shamed for it. It was too much. It was terribly inconvenient. And then as we grew older and we would have rage, same thing. Like there, first of all, though, we didn't have the tools to use the anger appropriately. So there's reckless anger and then there's harnessed anger. So I'm not talking about reckless anger. Reckless anger is the starting point. We go through the work to get to productive anger. But I want you to stop and think about growing up, if you had anger, first of all, was that even allowed in your household? Was it allowed in your classroom, on your team? And when you, as a female specifically, had a lot of anger, what was the response from the people around you? Was it welcomed? Was it shamed? Was it met with in a loving way? Was it put down? Was it ignored? Was it undermined? Was it, what happened when you had big rage and big bouts of anger coming through you? Most of us were told it's too much and it's wrong, and we created shame around having this anger. And this is a problem because what I'm feeling right now is we've got hundreds of thousands of women who suppressed their voices a long time ago because of the societal judgments around anger. And so you didn't know how to express your anger, so you just stopped expressing. And to me, that's a massively underutilized life force that I think we might need to get a couple jobs done around here. So it's a force to be reckoned with, but what we've got some responsibility as women. If we know that we have this power, we've got to metabolize the rage so that we can harness it and use it for good. Okay? Using it for good is essential. We are not going to bring up our rage to use it for, the wrongdoing of anyone else. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the part of you that feels like there's so many wrongs in the world that I want to make right. And I can't take action on it, so I stuff those feelings. Or, I wasn't protected, and so now I feel overprotective of my children. But I don't really know how to do that in a socially acceptable way, so I stuff those feelings. Or I've been traumatized and I don't know how to handle those big feelings, so I push them down and I eat them away and I drink them away and I shop them away and I scroll them away. That force of energy, your sacred rage, when you learn to harness it, it's literally like the Care Bear stare. It's going to get some things done. So, how many women in the world are waiting to wake up and remember their power and harness their anger and use their voices again? How many stories are not being told that would change our lives, that would change the way that we work? Right? If you could think of all the oppressive systems and all the injustices, I have so much deep rage. And yet, if I don't take care of that rage responsibly, my voice gets lost. My voice isn't heard. And then what are we really accomplishing? And so maybe you've been ashamed of your anger or rage, or maybe you've not known what to do with it. And so you've stifled your voice. This is your invitation to dust the rage off and to use your tools to metabolize it so that you can get to whatever the power source is underneath it and then leverage that power source for good, for yourself, for your family, for your clients, for your community, and for the world. It is an underutilized force of nature that we've shamed. Okay? It can be celebrated if a man does it in certain settings. But if a woman is angry, oh, particularly a woman of color, do you know how much shame and judgment and prejudice and so much shit has been projected on to women when they're in their anger, and especially women of color? So we've got to stop that, because it's the women that feel so deeply that are going to change the effing world. They just need to learn how to fuel their advocacy for themselves, for their children, for the betterment of the world, utilizing this force. Okay. So I don't know. I'm just feeling like, I have so much anger coming through me right now. And so I'm going back to basics with how do I work with this anger in a way that's healthy and positive and not fall, to the dark side. But B, I'm definitely feeling intuitively that there is an entire subculture of women who have such a powerful mission in the world, but have had their voices taken away from them. And I am summoning you forward. Your voice matters. Your voice is needed. Your anger is informative. Okay. I want you to write that down. Your anger is informative. It's pointing you to something that you want to impact. It's pointing you to a change that you're ready to make, whether it's in your own self-care, your relationships, your mission, or the world. Anger is informative. And it's a powerful energetic force. So, okay, here's the other random thought. Before I get into what you can do to metabolize anger, here's another thought that I've been thinking lately. So, many of you that are listening to this podcast right now would probably identify as a cycle breaker of your family, where the buck stopped with you and you were the one who raised your hand and said, that's not right. That was dysfunctional and I want to heal. Maybe you're the first one in your family to go on a healing journey. Maybe you're the first one in your family to ask really difficult questions like, why are we doing it this way? Why are we believing? Maybe you've left a church that you grew up in. Maybe I don't, if you have ever felt like a black sheep or misunderstood, you are probably a cycle breaker. And the cycle breaker is so effing extraordinary and beautiful and powerful because you're the one in your family lineage that says, wait, maybe there's a better way. Maybe there's a better way to think, to feel, to heal, to commune, to create, to gather, to celebrate. Maybe there's a better way to handle hard things. Maybe there's a better way to relate to your fellow neighbor. And if you were one that said maybe there's a better way, you're a cycle breaker. And what I'm realizing is that if you are a cycle breaker, rage is part of that journey because it's freaking hard. Okay. Because you grew up in a system that, conditioned you to believe all sorts of things that you have to unwind yourself from as an adult. You are literally breaking generational patterns and cycles while being triggered. So, our generation of mothers, we're healing from our own trauma while trying to not traumatize our children, while our children are triggering us. Do you see how that is a special kind of hell for us? It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's also really badass. And you chose that, by the way. You chose to come and disrupt things and find a better way. And I want you to know how cool I think that is. I want you to know that if you believe in the spirit realm, your spirit guides, your angels are so effing proud of you for being the one. They are always with you, they are always applauding you. If you don't subscribe to any of that, you just need to know that I know how hard it can be. Can be really hard to heal from your own trauma while doing everything you can not to traumatize your children. Okay? And so, because it's a unique challenge, right? Like somebody who's going through the world not feeling like they need to do anything meaningful on the planet, not even aware of themselves, not hard on themselves, not looking at how I can be better, how I can grow, how I can make things better for my children. There's a lot of people in the world that never even think these things. And this is no disrespect to them. They didn't come here to elevate the frequency of the planet. Maybe they came here to enjoy it. Maybe they came here to, find ease and peace and pleasure being on earth. But I can tell you right now, and that you probably have siblings that are like, they don't even think about the wrongs that are happening in the world. That's not keeping them up at night. They're not stressing that the teachers are underpaid. They're not stressing that kids aren't eating. They're not stressing that we don't have enough mental health support in the world. They're not stressing, right? And I got to tell you, it'd be easier to be the person who isn't aware of these things or paying attention. So by being the cycle breaker, you're inherently aware of all of these things. You tend to be sensitive to energy. You tend to be intuitive. You tend to want to do something that makes things better. There's responsibility that comes with that. And because of that, there's gonna be some anger. There just is. And what's so interesting to me is that we're starting to understand this idea of a cycle breaker, and we're not really like giving a bunch of tools on how to actually be the cycle breaker, how to take care of ourselves, what we can expect. It's hard, it's ugly, there's rage, there's numbing behaviors, and there's also like such privilege and beauty in being the badass of your lineage who said, I'll take one for the team. I want to make things better. And so while I want us to keep an empowered story around being the cycle breaker, I also want to normalize anger and rage as part of the process, because if we're going to be the cycle breaker, but we're not allowed to feel anger and rage, this is why so many turn to addictions, distractions, perfectionism, overachieving, overeating, all of it, you guys. You have to know, if I'm going to do the dirty work, which is also such important work, if I'm going to do it, I get to have my periods of anger and rage. And it's also my responsibility to manage that rage, to work with that rage, to alchemize that rage, to metabolize that rage, and to use it for good. Okay. So, what do we do? How do we do that? How do we do that? How do we do that? The first thing is we have to have awareness. You guys know the step one is always awareness. We gotta know, like, oh shit, I'm angry. Oh shit, I feel some rage coming through my body. You might feel it in your body, a tightness in your chest. You might feel a sickness in your stomach. You might feel a tightness in your shoulders. You might feel a heat in your brain. You might experience the troubling excessive thinking. You might constantly be having negative thoughts. You might be lashing out and saying things that you don't mean. You might be getting triggered very easily and then handling things in a way that you're not proud of. So anger, just like anything else, my flavor is gonna show up differently for me than it does for you. Okay. Mine is very somatic. I get very hot and antsy and I want to do something about it. Okay. So, once we have the awareness that we have some anger and some rage coming through us, then we use a somatic tool to move that emotion through the body. Okay. And for anger, I feel like we need a more active intervention, if you will, a more active coping mechanism. So, I love dance for anger. Okay. This is why I got trained in dance alchemy. You leave it on the dance floor, baby. You go through an entire somatic process. So in dance alchemy, we go through the elements, earth, um, earth, water, fire, air, right? And in the fire songs of a dance alchemy class, there's a lot of like stomping and slamming your fists and making a sound if that feels good to you. You're moving energy out of your body, okay? Sometimes a good old fashioned twerk in the freaking shower, shake that ass out and imagine you're moving anger through your body is beautiful. Okay. So dance, shaking, twerking, for me, dance alchemy right now, those are beautiful ways to move anger through your body. Number two is pushing up against a wall. And I've taught Chloe these. And so Chloe uses these, which is so cool to see. You go and you push yourself and you push the wall as hard as you absolutely can until you exhaust yourself. And you could do it 8 times. You do it, take a breath. Go again, take a breath. Go again, take a breath. Okay. We also have screaming into the elbow. And this is literally where you just let your nervous system know that you're going to scream into your body. And you take a deep inhale. And then you put, like, if you're right handed, and if you guys can, you can watch this on YouTube. You're going to take your right hand and you're going to hold your left elbow. And you're going to take your left hand and put it on your right shoulder. And you're going to take a deep breath in. And then you are going to scream into your elbow until you can't scream anymore. Here's what's so cool about this technique: people will not hear you doing it in your own house. You think it's going to be loud, it's not. So you could do it in the car, you could do it in the closet, you could do it on your lunch break, you could do it in your office, but screaming like a belly curl until you whimper is so effing therapeutic. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I also love slamming medicine balls, right? Those big, heavy balls, like you can find them at the gym or most workout spaces, or you could get your own. Slamming those down, and like with each slam, I'm thinking about the thing or the person that I'm angry with. And I'm imagining with each slam that I'm leaving it there. And so this is a way to process trauma, things that happened to you before that you maybe felt powerless over. Slam the medicine balls. It could be a current thing. Slam the medicine balls. But imagine that you're leaving your anger on the mat. You're not letting it stay stuck and stored up in your body. Okay. And the last one, so my coach and mentor Sam Skelly taught us this. I don't know if she called it the somatic squeeze. That's what I call it. It's where you take a deep inhale, and while you're inhaling, you lower your shoulders and then you squeeze every muscle in your body as hard as you can squeeze it while holding your breath. So you inhale through the nose, you lower your shoulders and squeeze every muscle, your face, your butt cheeks, your pinky toes, every as hard as you can until you can't hold it anymore. And with your open mouth exhale, you fall heavy into your chair. So don't do this one if you're driving. You want to make sure that you have a safe environment. You've got a chair to sit on, but you inhale, lower shoulders, squeeze until you can't squeeze and hold your breath. Exhale. You're going to immediately feel like you've moved something. Go again. Inhale, lower shoulders, squeeze until you can't take it. Exhale. Go again. If you could do 8 of these, you will 100% move the anger out of your system and feel so much lighter. You literally exhaust yourself. So these tools that I love for anger are also really helpful for anxiety. So if you're super anxious, doing the somatic squeeze is going to get you unstuck. If you're super anxious, screaming into your arm is going to shift something. If you're super anxious, dancing is going to move energy out of your body. So it's anxiety and anger are kind of the bigger emotions that need more motion, if you will. So those are just some tips right out of the gates to help you metabolize. So people ask me every day, how do I feel my feelings? How do I process my emotion? It's really simple once you get the hang of it. You name it and notice it, you witness it, and then you somatically work with it in the body. And you could use different tools, right? So for other things, I love breath work. And for other things, I love meditation. And for other things, I love bilateral music and nature walks and all sorts of things. But for anger specifically, honey, that is a powerful force. So when you notice it, name it, and then somatically move it, that is metabolizing the anger. And then what's left is your truth that you're passionate about, the advocacy that you want to have, the mission that you want to lead, the way that you want to parent and mother, the family life that you want to have, the boundaries that you want to set, the thing that you want to create. So there's a powerful force that's still there. But when we metabolize the anger, we can make sure that we can harness it for something good. Okay? So there's another piece to this work that I'll cover in another podcast because I want to keep this short and sweet for you guys, which is once you've metabolized the anger, a lot of times your anger is actually the protector of your inner child and the shame that you have. And so part of this process of harnessing and leveraging anger for the good is not only metabolizing the anger, but learning to sit with and ride dirty with your shame. We want to integrate all of this as parts of who we are. Yes, we have our heart and our soul and our spirit, and that is the biggest part of who we are. But we also have inner children, and those inner children carry a lot of unprocessed and unfelt shame and trauma. Then we have our inner teenagers, and we have our protectors, and we have all these other parts of us. But so many of us are ignoring our shame or kind of tapping into it by using our anger. But what if we didn't make those parts of us wrong or bad? What if we loved our anger and metabolized it and loved our shame? What if we learned to sit with shame? Here's the question that I've been posing. What would be possible for you if you never feared shame? When I look at all of the fears that we have, they come down to shame. I'm afraid to put myself out there. I'm afraid to be vulnerable. I'm afraid to make the ask. I'm afraid to launch the business. I'm afraid to make a move. I'm afraid to go first. I'm afraid to go online. I'm afraid to sell a product. I'm afraid to believe in myself. Why? Because what if it doesn't work out? What if people judge me? What if people don't love me anymore? What if I'm abandoned, rejected? All of that comes down to a fear of shame. But what if we were actually okay with shame? Like we learned how to be with it. What if we learned how to ride dirty with shame and then leveraged the powerful force that is anger for the good? You know, anger is such an energetic upgrade. So underneath anger is shame and apathy. That's the lowest energetic frequency you can have. This is the like bad things always happen to me, so why even try? Think about the frequency of that. And when you jump from apathy and shame to anger, suddenly you're ready to do something. You're ready to have a conversation. You're ready to make the request. You're ready to do something different. Do you see how big that is? But because we've been so shamed about our anger, a lot of us will skip that step and will stay in apathy. And it's really hard to make moves that bring you the results that you want when you're doing it from a place of apathy. And so apathy to anger is profound, because once we learn to metabolize our anger, well, then we get into self-responsibility. Then we get into leadership. And so anger is the bridge. Anger is an essential part of your healing process. Anger is essential if you're a cycle breaker. And I think it's one of the most potent, underutilized forces on the planet. So baby, if you are ready to alchemize some anger, let's get to work. I am having an in-person event called Unleashed, your 2026 activation. It's going to be in Lafayette. It's going to be a mix of energetics and frequency work, along with some somatic dancing and movement, along with some manifesting and calling in what you're ready for 2026. It's going to be the bomb, you guys. It's basically going to be like women getting together and just deciding what we're worthy and deserving of, and somatically shifting our frequency to be an energetic match for that. So make sure that you're on my email list so you can be the first to know when we have the link. We're working on the landing page right now. The event is only $33. Okay. Or make sure that you're following closely on Instagram, because I'll also be announcing it. But join me on January 11th to alchemize your anger. And if you can't do the in-person thing, I will be hosting a masterclass in January. I'm just not sure when yet, because the next round of Legend is going to open up I think it's the 22nd or the 21st of January. And this work with anger and shame and integrating it into your wholeness and your authentic self is going to be a chunk of the work that we do in this next round of Legend. So I hope that you can take a little piece of this discussion. If you have been walking this earth with anger, it's not because you're a bad person, my love. It's because you have a big energy that could do some cool things in the world once you learn how to leverage it responsibly. So I am here to help you with that, because I am on that journey as well. All right, mama, I love you so much. Take care of yourselves and there for each other. And I'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now. Hey babe, if you made it this far, I know you're serious about taking action and creating a life you actually love. Just by showing up, you're telling yourself and the universe, I matter. I'm ready. Let's go. So don't be surprised if things start shifting in your favor. If this episode moved you, do me a favor. Follow, rate, and review the show on Apple or Spotify, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Brooke Jean Unperfected. It helps us reach more women, more mamas who are ready to do this work. And if something really landed, DM me on Instagram at BrookeJeanUnperfected or share a clip and tag me. I want to see what's moving through you and continue to support your journey. And hey, make sure you download my free guide, Get Unstuck, 5 therapeutic steps to take aligned action. All the links are in the show notes, and let's get you moving.